I'm Hugh Hewitt, and a special good morning to everyone in Denver. I don't even know if our KNUS staff is going to be able to get to KNUS today. They have had the fourth largest snowstorm in the history of Denver yesterday and last night and this morning. More than 2 feet of snow in the Denver area. So we've got thousands of people without power, other folks in their vehicles, roadways are shut. Of course, schools and government are closed today. But 24 inches in a day as of 6 p.m. last night. Who knows what it is this morning? If you go over to denverpost.com, you'll see that in 1913, they had their biggest storm ever, which was more than 45 inches of snow. And then in 2003, only 18 years ago, they had 31 inches of snow. 1946, 30 inches of snow. And this weekend, 27 inches of snow. So our friends in Denver, I know you're listening as the snow gently falls around your ears. Good morning to you. That's a lot of snow. And I say that as someone who, if you don't grow up on the shores of Lake Erie or anywhere in the snow effect lands, from Cleveland to Buffalo, you actually don't know snow. My year in Colorado taught me that they often pretend like the people in Minnesota to have snow, but they really got snow. So that's the number one story. We also want to make sure we say goodbye to Drew Brees before I turn to the dreary news. What a class act. What a great quarterback. What a wonderful man. 20 years. He retired yesterday at the age of 43. All right, two major stories, news stories. Denver's a local story. Drew Brees is a happy story. What a career. We have a nightmare at the border. As day follows night, so a border crisis follows Democrats. Instead of finishing the wall and maintaining the messaging, ollie ollie in free, we've got migrants walking to the border wearing Biden let me in t-shirts, and the consequences have been extraordinary. And I mean extraordinary. The number of unaccompanied migrant children in custody went up 25% in 1 week. 1 week, it went up 25%. That means there are 4,276 children in custody right now at the border, up from 3,400 the week before. It's the sort of surge last seen in 2018 and 19 that Trump put it into with agreements with Mexico. And the overcrowding, the centers in the Rio Grande Valley are at 363% capacity. 363% capacity. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Have you seen anything about that story? Probably not. Probably not. If it was Trump, you know what would be going on. I keep handy for days like this the Gallup poll at the end of the year. The Gallup poll, which showed most Americans who are center-right just don't trust the media at all. And that's because the media doesn't cover stories like this. Well, let me bring you some border clips right away. This is from Ron Klain, who is in fact the president of the United States, I think. Ron is, you don't see much of President Biden. When you do, you see him for about 5 minutes. Then he heads upstairs to the residence. Ron Klain was on MSNBC yesterday, cut number 4.
Of course it's an outrage and it's unacceptable. We inherited a government that had allowed the number of beds to safely and humanely house these children, administered by the Department of Health and Human Services, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, had allowed it to shrink to a record low number. So now we have children arriving at these border patrol stations and no facilities, no safe, no legally licensed facilities with legally licensed staff to house the children. And so we are working night and day to increase that capacity that had been allowed to shrink, to create enough safe beds for the children, to create places where they can stay until we can reunite them with relatives here in the U.S. or with safe sponsors for them to stay permanently in the U.S. until they have their asylum hearings. So we're working very, very hard on this problem. We inherited a real lack of capacity. It's hard to ramp up that capacity. You can't just take children and put them in a hotel room. They need to be in a place where they are safely protected. They need to be in a place with staff. The staff needs to be trained. The staff needs to be licensed. These are very, challenging needs that we are rapidly moving to accelerate. But there's no question at this point in time,
Understood.
we have too many children in these Border Patrol stations.
Yeah, and that's because of the messaging from Team Biden. It's not because they were fine. There was not this surge under Trump because the messaging deterred people from coming north. The messaging now says, come on north. Greg Abbott on Fox with Maria Bartiromo laid it out. Cut number 8.
Two things, Maria. One is the dramatic increase in the influx of people coming across the border. Remember this, as you were kind of pointing out, it's the Biden open border policies that are inviting even more illegal immigration and actually have created this humanitarian crisis. As you know, I went down to the border this past week and I met with Border Patrol officers. And here's what they told me. The Border Patrol officers themselves told me that they informed the Biden administration that because of the policy changes, it was going to lead to this massive surge that we are just now beginning to see, knowing that it's going to be getting far worse in the coming months. They also said that the reason for the change, the reason for the increase in the influx is because of the policy change by the Biden administration. More importantly, though, Maria, is this challenge, and that is the Border Patrol officers told me that the Biden administration policies, they are enriching and they are empowering the drug cartels in Mexico who make money off of the people that they assist in smuggling them into the state of Texas. The cartels make money off of these migrants that you and your viewers see on TV. They also told me about the escalating numbers of the people coming across the border.
Look, this is going to go on and on. I'll update you every day. It's sort of like the COVID numbers, only the reverse. The COVID numbers are great. Numbers of vaccines, there have been 135 million vaccines delivered in the United States. And we've got 21% of the population now with at least one jab, 11% two jabs, fully vaccinated. That's 35% of the population that's greater than 65 years of age. 63% of the population greater than 65 years of age have had at least one jab. So that's the good news. Other good news, thousands of you have stepped forward to help Food for the Poor. Thousands. Thank you. We need a lot more. All of you are about to get a $1,400 check, or you have more than $150,000 a year in income. So I would really like everybody in this audience, look, I had 6 million people listen to me every week. I would love to I've got tens of thousands of donations. I'd love to have hundreds of thousands, even millions of donations. You're about to get $1,400 if you're an ordinary American, if you're not in the top 20% of America, if you're in the 80% of America, you'll be getting $1,400. Can you spare 140 of your $1,400? That's a tithe. Maybe that's a lot. Maybe you've never given $140 before. But if you're well off and you're thinking about it, please consider what's going on in one of the countries that is served by Food for the Poor. Just one, Honduras. I've been focused on Honduras because the virus has had the worst effect there. Listen to Linda, who works with Food for the Poor in Honduras.
When you see the hunger, when you see the need, you go out on the field, even if they haven't eaten for 1 or 2 days. It just makes us real sad. The more we do, the more we see the need. The more places we go, the more we find people starving. The more we see children are eating the leaves from the trees.
It is indeed a famine, and you can help by going to hughhewitt.com. Go to the very top, find the banner. You'll see it says Give the Gift of Food, Food for the Poor, or call 855-359-4673.